Hello, welcome to this episode of the Game Plan Podcast by College Baseball Advisors. I'm your host, Wayne Mazzoni. My background is 30 years as a college baseball coach, current college baseball recruiting advisor. For more information about what I do, please visit collegebaseballadvisor.com. In addition, if you are a player or a parent interested in getting more clarity on your recruiting process, feel free to email me for a personal Zoom. Talk about your recruiting process, no cost, no obligation. Simply send me a message at wayne@waynemazzoni.com. Again, that's wayne@waynemazzoni.com. In the subject box, just put podcast. And in the body of the email, give me some background information, link to some videos if you have them, and then some times that work on your end, and we'll set that up to do a one-on-one meeting. Today's episode, we have Matt Reiser, who's currently finished his second year at University of Memphis, head baseball coach. He spent 16 years previously at Southeastern Louisiana. Matt was born and raised in Mississippi, football, baseball guy. He went to junior college after high school and then transferred to Tulane. 2 very interesting years at Tulane. In year 1 as a junior, they go to Omaha College Baseball World Series. The second year, they're affected by Hurricane Katrina. He talks about what that meant to the city and the university and, of course, the baseball program, how they were completely displaced, actually spent a semester at a different college in the fall as things were rebuilding, at Tulane. After college, he then started coaching at Southeastern Louisiana, spent 6 years there as an assistant, really helped build that program, and then 10 years as the head baseball coach there, where, again, took that program to great heights, great records in regionals and 40-win seasons. In 2003, he took over at Memphis, and he spent 2 years at Memphis, now going into his third year. So we talk a lot about his coaching style and what he's looking for in players and the transfer portal, kind of the typical things. But Matt is an awesome guy, really motivating, really inspiring, and this is a really educational podcast. I think you'll really enjoy it. I'd like to remind you that this podcast is sponsored by the Mohegan Sun Baseball Coaches Convention, which takes place every year in January. This year is January 15th to 17th at the Mohegan Sun Casino. If you have not been, you need to go. A great venue. It's a great, great event in its 23rd year and with unbelievable lineup of speakers. If you go to their site, baseballcoachesclinic.com, you will see past speakers, you'll see past schedules, you'll see vendors, you'll see information on the space that they have there. This year is no different. They have tremendous speakers, a really unique lineup of speakers that will be really, really impressive. So please go to baseballcoachesclinic.com to learn more about their program. I'll be there as I am every year. And without further delay, here's my talk with Matt Reiser, head baseball coach at Memphis. All right. So, Matt, first of all, I'm pumped to connect with you. Kind of known you for a long time, but it's been a while since we've actually been face to face like this. And as we were texting back and forth, I said the last podcast with Rob Vaughn from Alabama, he was the 4-hole hitter. You were the 5-hole hitter. So in the 5-hole, you don't get an easy pitch to start. So I'm going to give you a tough one to start. Of course, I've had time to research this. You're running around with a million things and just got on the podcast. But do you remember when we first met?
That had to be 08 or 09, right? Didn't you guys come down to Hammond, America and have a weekend series with us, right?
That's right. It was actually 2009. And I remember when I first met you, you basically greeted us at the airport. Do you remember that? Yeah, exactly. Yep. Right. You were like the meeting guy, and you helped us get all settled in the vans and the whole thing.
God, I remember that. Yeah, that's the old school days. Yeah, I remember Jay looking at me and going, "Hey, man, you better make sure they come back." I said, "Hey, I'll do everything I can, man." Like, hey, that's the old days of being the assistant coach, the operations guy, right? The whole shebang.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Here you are now, the head coach at Memphis, and then you were the everything guy. You were running around doing everything. So I obviously met. Yeah, see, I remember that. And then it's been a while since. In fact, I don't think when I was at Sacred Heart, I could be wrong. I don't think we played you when you were the head coach. I think Jay was the head coach and you were the assistant, and we played probably 3 or 4 times. Great battles, as I recall.
Yeah, I think the only time we matched up when I was actually the head guy was in Baton Rouge. We had a tournament.
Yes.
Yep, and played a 1 game. The only reason I remember that, we had a guy, Josh Green, super single ball guy, and somehow or another, your guy, right on right, took the single ball to right center like 450 feet. And I went, yeah, that's almost impossible. Yep.
I do actually. That's right. That's right. Those neutral site games always throw me off.
Yep,
That's right. I
that's
do
right.
remember that.
That's
Yeah,
right. The
that's
box.
funny.
I do. Great
So
stories, man.
yeah, exactly. So it's funny when I was researching a little bit for any guest, I obviously read their bio, but
Yep.
then a lot of guys like you come up with this with also a Wikipedia thing. I've learned from last time that Wikipedia can get some stuff wrong. So
Absolutely.
because one thing it has you born in New Orleans, Louisiana, and that's not correct, right? You're born in Mississippi.
Yeah, well, I guess there's a technicality on this.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Dad, Picayune, Mississippi, where I'm originally from, but I was actually born in New Orleans because Dad was working down in New Orleans, and that's where her doctor was in New Orleans, about an hour away from where he grew up. So yeah, we left the house. They did the 45-minute drive down to New Orleans, and I was actually birthed in New Orleans. So
Okay,
believe it
so
or
right,
not.
place of birth, but right, but
But I
you
left the
grew.
hospital, went back to Mississippi.
Yeah, exactly. And so, did you spend? Were you raised in Mississippi the whole time?
That's right. Yeah, that's
Okay,
right. Yeah, yeah. I've spent all my years there through high school. Played junior college ball in Mississippi, and then started my Louisiana tour when I got down to Tulane and New Orleans.
so back to growing up in Mississippi. Obviously, everyone that I bring on here is a baseball guy, so I know baseball was a huge part of your childhood. But did you
Yep.
play other sports growing up too?
Oh yeah, dude. The good Lord, if He'd have blessed me to be 6'5" and 265 pounds, I would not be coaching baseball. I'd be lined up on Sundays, baby, ready to get after somebody. Yeah, no, love playing football growing up. Loved basketball too. Problem was I was short. I couldn't shoot. I couldn't dribble. And I had too much football mentality. I'd foul out before I'd score any points. So I gave that up after ninth grade. Tapped out. Went two sport. Yeah, I did the football and baseball thing through high school. So, but yeah, I loved it, man. We love. It's been actually funny to say that, Maz, because our 27s that we've been kind of recruiting a lot more football guys that still
Good,
do both, which is like, hey man, that's been something I've said for a while. Obviously, I get the question of having kids, right? I think before we got on air, we talked a little bit about the three boys I've got. Obviously, the parents know what I do for a living, so like, hey, what should my kid do to get recruited? I'm like, well, first of all, your kid's 10. All right,
right,
so
right.
let him go be a kid, right? Now we'll have some fun. But let him play everything, man. Don't specialize. I hate the conversation. I sit down at the table and I've got a kid who's burnt out playing baseball, man. And most of the time it's a 6-month burnout and they're right back into it because it's just they need a little break sometimes.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
for as far as getting acclimated, as far as being an athlete, like I'm watching my kid the other day play football and his buddies, doing leapfrog over guys. I'm like, man, who wouldn't want that movement in baseball too? You know what I
Right,
mean? Like,
right.
so yeah, multi-sport athlete, big fan of it. Love our recruits to be able to do the same thing and our players to be able to do the same thing. At some point in time, got to specialize, but be a kid as long as you can, man.
And two things stood out there. One is I really try to tell this to everyone who asks me because I get asked the same thing as you get asked. Should my kids specialize, et
Mhm.
cetera? I said, number one, the biggest regret I hear from college baseball players is them giving up another sport in high school that they'll
Yep.
never be able to play again. So they just at the time it seemed logical, but they regret it later on, is for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
And then what I also say is if you don't like your other sports, don't play them. But like if you love baseball, you love wrestling, you love it, and you're like, oh man, I love it, but I got to give it up for baseball. Do not do it.
Yep.
Life's too short. So and
Yep.
it'll help you be a better baseball player too. So it's
100%.
definitely good to hear
100%.
that too.
Yeah.
Obviously now back to in high school, what do you remember about the recruiting process? What got you to junior college? What do you remember about that
Yeah.
part?
Yeah, man. Actually, the crazy part about it, we just passed it back up, right? 9/11. It's hard to believe it's been that many years since 9/11,
That's
but
right.
yeah. So I'm a 2002 grad, right? So that was, I guess, fall of 2001. So 25-year anniversary. We just came up with, right? So that's my senior year being recruited by Ole Miss. Dan McDonald, right? Dan's a recruiting guy at Ole Miss, and we're lining up a visit. I think they were supposed to play Vanderbilt football that weekend. And then 9/11 happens. And of course, all of college football got canceled that weekend, the whole deal. I go to reschedule my visit, and the other young man that they had recruited the week before, he'd already committed. So, Dan calls and is like, hey, man, we got it, kind of our guy. So, just kind of the way it works out, right? The good Lord's plan. It was just for me when it was all said and done. the guy that committed the week before I did was other really good players in that area that I played with, but he didn't even finish college baseball, and I got a chance to play in Omaha. So you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it's part of his good plan. And so I was fortunate enough to go to Pearl River. I was high academic as far as, I put a lot of work into it. My test scores weren't off the charts or anything crazy like that, but I put a lot of work into it. I graduated top 10 of my class, so academics were important to me. I was coming from a medical field background with my family. My dad was a family practice physician. My mom was a nurse, and so that's kind of the route I wanted to go. But I had Jay Artigue sell me on an idea of like, hey man, you got academics forever. You can do that when you're 30 and done playing a professional career. This baseball thing you get one shot at. So make sure you make the best decision for baseball that you can continue your academics, and then you can finish off whatever degree in whatever area you want to, right? And I'm glad I listened, man. Very fortunate for that opportunity. Played 2 years there at Pearl River, and I'll be honest with you, Maz, we were all kind of in the same boat. We wanted to become PRU. We wanted to be a Pearl River University, and I was even signed to Tulane at that point, right? Getting ready to go to Omaha in '05, but we had a great time, man. Great experience in junior college. Just the camaraderie, what we built. Our little town didn't even have a traffic light. We had one four-way stop. So
Wow.
it was, it was baseball, baseball, baseball. That was about it. And so, obviously had a great love for it. So yeah, that was my route. Got fortunate, and obviously, went on to Tulane and played for another great coach in Rick Jones, and got to see a different side of it. The business side aspect of it as well, along with the baseball aspect of it, and go to this place called Omaha was pretty cool. Being the little redneck that I was from South Mississippi, I think Omaha, Nebraska is a little redneck town, probably up in Nebraska with a bunch of cornfields. Yeah, they got 1.5 million people. I get off the plane, the joke's on me, right? Like, haha, we're a big city. So, it was awesome experience, man. Just a great playing experience, and very fortunate to have the coaches I did from high school with Kent Kirkland, also to Jay at Pearl River, and also to Rick there at Tulane as well.
But you just said something that I did not know. So Jay, who would go on to be your boss at Southeast Louisiana.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, sorry.
We're good. Okay, yeah. I don't know what happened there. So Jay, that goes on then to be the coaching at Southeast Louisiana, who you then worked for and then took over. So he recruited you at the junior college.
Yeah. Jay and I had a relationship for over 20-something years. Yeah. So it was, a great relationship that we had, and very fortunate for that relationship. Obviously, helped give me my career, obviously playing wise, but coaching wise as well. That was my first job there, coaching for him.
And then what do you remember, just to go back, what do you remember about getting to Tulane? I mean, what got you to Tulane? What other places were you looking at that point coming out of the school?
Yeah, there's a few schools. Funny part was Chad Suter was the recruiting coordinator at UNLV, who had played at Tulane. His dad is Bruce Suter, right? The great Hall of Famer with the split finger. And Suit played at Tulane and had left and gone out there with Buddy Goldsmith, who was another Tulane guy, and Schloss and Nagel had gone out to UNLV as well. So when Schloss got the TCU job, Buddy took over. He hires Chad out there, and then we had Kingston over at Tulane as well. So I actually was getting ready to commit to UNLV, very close to doing so. And then the last week of the fall recruiting, I go in and sit down and I do the visit, right? Coach Mark Kingston's the head coach, or the recruiting coordinator at the time, right? Who's now the head coach at Creighton and was at South Carolina. So King brings me around. I love the university, love the academics, all that good stuff. But I was still pretty much set on going to UNLV. Suit had done a really good job of recruiting me, and just until I sat down with Coach Jones, man. I sat down at that table, and that man knew how to target me pretty quick. He could read the room real fast, and he could sell. I always tell people he could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves, right? Like he knew, hey man, I didn't like the easy routes, and he challenged me, and hey man, yeah, you can get a good job and at UNLV with that degree, but hey man, the guys at Tulane, they own those companies. They don't work at a great company, and so he knew the sales pitch, right? I knew it when I left that office. I'd gotten advice from Jay, hey man, don't commit it on the place, right? Go home, think about it, but. That 2-hour little car ride back with my dad and the conversation we had was a no-brainer. Hey man, I'm going to Tulane, going to play for Rick Jones, man. So very fortunate to have that opportunity.
And then obviously it's really not that far from where you were raised. It's obviously the town you were born in, right? I mean, Tulane's a pretty awesome place. So obviously you alluded to it already. So tell me about your 2 years there. One of the years you go to Omaha, like unbelievable. Was that your first or second year?
Yeah, my first year. Yeah. So, we still have the comparisons and the old big fish stories of the '05 team from Tulane, the '01 team, Canizero and Gotro, they were on the '01 team. And I was on the '05 team with Bogusevic and Manzella, Micah Owens, all those guys.
Right.
So, but yeah, that first year was awesome, man. Also, we get a chance to go to Omaha. That was my dream as a player. I knew who I was as a player. I was probably not going to play in the big leagues, right? I wasn't the biggest, wasn't the fastest, wasn't the strongest, but I knew it brought a lot of value to the program itself and wanted to play at the highest level possible. And so, Omaha, awesome experience. '06, we go to another regional final at Ole Miss. I got knocked out in Oxford in my career in Oxford. But the neat thing about the '06 team, man, is the Katrina hit in August of 2005. All right, so I tell you about the 9/11 story and the 25-year anniversary. Now I get to tell you about Katrina and its 20-year anniversary,
Yeah.
and yeah, just crazy stuff, man. But yeah, no, we had to adapt, right? The game of baseball is all about adjustments. We want a set schedule and very regimented and very routine oriented. We're probably more routine and oriented than any other sport there is. We go out there like 4 hours before game time and do all our stuff, but it's also probably the game you got to adjust and adapt more than any other sport there is. And so, yeah, we did. We kind of figured out how to make the fall work. Had no communications for like 2 weeks, and then I get a phone call finally as we get through and meeting up with some guys in Baton Rouge that evacuated. We're going to go to Houston and Rice was the kind of original plan. And for my drive from Mississippi to Baton Rouge, I get to Baton Rouge and say, hey, man, we're going to Texas Tech. I look at a map. I'm like, where's Tech? Oh, my gosh, it's way over there. Okay, cool. So, yeah, we spent that fall semester at Texas Tech. Grateful to those people, man. They were
Wow.
awesome. Welcomed in with open arms. So, really cool experience, man. So for the '06 team, as cool as it was to go to Omaha, and the '05 team, how close we were, the '06 team might have been even closer just with all the things we had to experience. The neat part about it is we had lost only one guy out of all the returners and the signees and everybody that was coming in. We only lost one guy that whole experience in that fall. Everybody else packed up, loaded up, went to Lubbock for the semester without really anything known, to be honest with you, Maz. We didn't know if we were going to have a school or a place to play or anything. So we just started renovations on the stadium. Yeah, crazy times. So we actually played my senior year out at Airline out there at the AAA ballpark where the Zephyrs played back in the
Yep.
day. So yeah, we did that, man. So yeah, the '06 team, man, great experience, and finished up '06, and actually took another year to finish up my degree and did a GA spot there at Tulane as well. So yeah, I was grateful to be able to finish off that Tulane degree, which was difficult.
So obviously at that point, because I've been to the stadium, New Orleans a lot post Katrina, and to the stadium a lot,
Yep.
which is insane. But was it? It was. I would assume it was not as magnificent prior to Katrina as it became.
No, so '05, we dogpile, right? We won a super. Rick Dixon was our AD at the time, and he actually came into the room and asked us, "Hey, man, '01 team had hosted the supers, but they did it out at Airline down at
Right.
Minor League Park to fit more people in." And we were adamant, as players, hey, man, we really want to play in Turchin. Like, this is the special place. Everybody's on top of us. This is what we want as players. And he fought for it, and we were able to host supers there at Turchin. So we dogpile, right, to go to Omaha. While we're in Omaha, they demolished the stadium to build a brand new stadium. So we got back, and they'd already started all the demolition and construction. Of course, then Katrina hit, and it delayed the whole project. The whole city was underwater. So it took a couple of years to get built. So I think 2000. The funny part about this is it was 2008 was my first year coaching, first spring. That was the first spring back in the new stadium. And so I'm not going to lie to you, I shed a little bit of tear walking that place, knowing that was, well, we were supposed to play in '06, but actually see it finally, resurrected. It was awesome to see.
What was it like? I mean, again, as an adult, as a coach, but also as a regular person going to New Orleans, you could get sidetracked there from your baseball ambitions.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
was that an issue? Is it an issue going to school in Tulane, or is it, hey, you could, people go to school in Hawaii, so I guess you just got to get your business done?
Yeah, it's all about what you want, right? Where your priorities are, and not saying that, hey man, you can't have fun and have a good time, but you got to prioritize what's important to you. And obviously, the academic load at Tulane doesn't allow too much, right? Of
Right.
that, the baseball aspect of it, and how disciplined we were on that part of it, how much time we put into that, obviously, put a lot on us. But I'm not going to tell you that we didn't have a great time celebrating that '05 super regional. So really that was more for the families, right? When they come in town, they get a chance to experience that a little bit. We like to keep it low key uptown and do our thing up there to build our camaraderie. So, and then be honest with you, in this Maz, this is a big part of me taking this job here in Memphis. There's a lot of similarities in New Orleans and Memphis, and the culture and the people and the food, and a lot of similarities. So me being a student athlete there in New Orleans at Tulane, I think has allowed me to come in this and obviously have success here as well.
No, that's great. And in fact, thinking about this going in, I'm embarrassed to say I've never been to Memphis. I might have to come down and take a
Ah.
visit. Yeah, 'cause, I mean, I love New Orleans for everything you talked about, so I'd love to get to Memphis too. It sounds like a
You would
pretty awesome.
love Memphis.
Oh,
Memphis has
that's good.
got great food, great people, man. It's yeah, it is. It's a special place. It's very, very similar to New Orleans. A lot of the same history that New Orleans has.
Yeah. So this is kind of a perfect question to ask now. You mentioned before about the family in the medical field. I know you were a biochemical engineering major. I had to write it down because it was too hard
Uh,
for me to remember. I didn't know he was that smart. But
yeah.
going to Tulane in that major, did you? I guess the question would be this: when did you realize you're going to coach and not pursue that path?
When did I realize I screwed up and was a BME? Yeah, probably after my first test. I didn't think I was going to pass school. The funny part about that, just I was really strong in math and science, right? That was kind of my background. Everybody's brain works differently. I struggled tremendously through elementary school, even a little bit through high school, just the reading and the writing, right,
Hmm.
the test score stuff. So it's funny. I chose that degree because it only needed one semester of English, and I'd already knocked that out in junior college. I was like, "Hoorah, let's go!"
Right.
Give me the math and sciences,
Right.
and then if I don't like it, then I can, it's a pre med route. I can still go to medical school, or hey, man, I can fall back and get maybe a master's in this thing. But anyways, the shorter version of it, yeah, I'm either the dumbest baseball coach in the country or the smartest, whichever way you want to look at it, right? Again, just to what I've always done is I've always kind of chosen the more challenging road, a little bit more the road of the unknown. There's some safety nets, and I've never really been one to fear the guardrail. So hey man, accelerate through the corners and go as fast as you can, get as close as you can to them. But there's greater rewards on those. So for me, people say, hey man, you're not even using your degree. I promise you, I'm using that degree. Those challenging times to be a student athlete and to get that degree done as well. It helped build a perseverance. And I actually had one of the guys ask me the other day, one of the new guys, hey, coach, I already got a degree in biomedical engineering. I said, yeah, I do. He's like, would you ever go back and, use that? And could you use that if you want to be an engineer tomorrow? I said, absolutely not. There's no shot of remembering that stuff. No shot. It hangs on the wall as a display now, just as a reminder, man, even difficult times I can get through too. Because I'll be honest with you, Maz, I didn't even know if I was going to graduate. But my senior year, whew, I had a medical school class. It was a midterm and a final, and I found out about 2 weeks after graduation. I didn't even walk at graduations. I didn't know if I passed the class. Yeah, and so needless to say, I had another celebration there once I did find out I actually passed the class. So
Right.
it was good to finish off that degree and do that part of it. But yeah, it's a different route, right? But everybody's got different routes, and again, it helps relate a little bit to our recruits and our kids that we have come in and our families that come in, and talk about academics. Academics is always going to be an important component of us, of our program, and a pillar of our program. I pray that they get a chance to hang up a big league career, making millions of dollars, and being 38, 39 years old, Hall of Fame career. But the reality of it, I've only coached one that's been around that long, and I want them to be successful in life. And so baseball won't define who they are, but it'll give them a lot of opportunities to mold the man they'll become.
Yeah, and I don't think I think everyone in the baseball world in college knows what I'm about to say, but I think your average person does not. The demands of baseball compared to academics, like every other sport, is either less games or it's weekend games or
Yep.
it's indoors at a gym at 7 o'clock at night. It's not on a live field that might get rain or not. Baseball's a lot of time, man.
Yeah.
It's this spring. If you don't have your stuff together, you're in a real hurting either on the field or in the classroom, right?
Yep.
So I mean, just
Yep.
as you said, from that playing at Tulane, going to Omaha, and being a student, and then dealing with. I mean, that's a lot of And even for the current kids, still a lot of demands on your time in this, certainly all year, but especially spring.
100%. Well, and like you said, I got the comment one time I get from our players, like, Coach, man, my mom was watching on TV and they pan to you and you just like look super calm and cool in the dugout, and it was kind of a big situation, Coach. It looked like you really didn't care one way or the other. And I said, to be honest with you, I was just enjoying the moment because all the BS I got to do to get to that moment, man. I mean, hey, I got to soak it up when we get there, regardless if it's a tight situation, tight game or not. So that's what you do all the work for, is to enjoy the actual baseball aspect of it. So to my point earlier, hey, how you doing? I said, man, I can't wait to get to Thursday to practice, man. I'm ready to start this team fall practice stuff.
No, that's a great point. I mean, I remember my favorite time of a year coaching. I missed my wife and kids, but when we would take like a 7-10 day spring break trip,
Oh
and
yeah,
the food's all done for you, everything gets washed for you. The
yep.
only thing you're doing is scouting reports, going to the field. Like that is like pretty easy to do. Actually, it's
Yeah.
all the other BS that gets in the way that makes it a pain in the neck.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Deal with compliance and NCA, right?
Exactly. Right. That's right. Think about it. That's a great point. I love what you said. Yeah, that moment might be tense, but boy, it beats the heck out of sitting in some meeting you don't want to be in.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what
what
I
you do
mean?
all the work for to get that moment.
So after you graduated, you stayed on as a GA, coached a year at Tulane.
Yeah, in a different capacity. I was actually in the weight room and helped out in there. So, and then helped, I did some stuff. Like I worked the scoreboard and in the games, that kind of
Got
stuff.
it.
I didn't actually coach in the dugout. It was still rough for me. I've truly loved the game forever. Knew I loved it from a very young age, and wanted to be around. Even when I was talking about the medical field and doing that, I wanted to go into sports medicine and be an orthopedic and figure out, again, shoulders, elbows. I want to be that guy.
Right.
If I was going to want to stay involved with sports, but especially baseball. And so for me, yeah, I think the biggest part was, Coach Jones gave me an opportunity to do it. Billy Mole was our other senior that year. He stayed on as a student assistant as well and actually coached in the dugout. And I just told Billy and Coach Jones, man, I don't know. I had a hard time going down the field. It was April. It was actually, the funny part about this is Tulane was playing Memphis the year after I graduated, or the year I got done playing. It was the first time in April that I'd gone down the actual field. Sue was kind of like mad at me. He's like, "Hey man, now you finally come down. It's April." I'm like, "Yeah, it took me a little while. I had a that year out of baseball. No matter how old you are, man, it's finding the things to do and how to fill your time, right? Not being a student athlete anymore. It's a little bit different. So, luckily for me, I got an extra year of school to figure it out. I didn't have to figure it out trying to make all this money, and you had to finish off a degree.
Yeah, I thought you bring up a good point. I mean, that's one thing I always enjoyed about coaching was the recent graduates, helping them find their way. It's not easy, man. Their whole life they've
No.
had structure, they've had routine, they've had
Yep.
coaches, people that care. And then you get thrown out into the world. So if you got a job you hate, kind of no one really cares, but maybe your parents. Like it's a tough place to be, kind of on your own after coming off a team concept with your buddies, right?
Yeah, yeah. If their parents like my parents, like, hey man, go to the Wolves. Good luck. You'll figure it out.
Right, right. Which is really ultimately is the only way to do it, right? You got
That's
to
exactly
trial and
right.
error. You got to figure it out. But
That's exactly right.
so, tell me now. Obviously, the move is to Southeast Louisiana with Jay.
Yep.
How long had Jay been at Southeast Louisiana? Did he just get it and bring you on? How did that go?
No, yeah. He'd actually got the job right before Katrina had hit, and so the funny part about this is when all that happened, down in New Orleans with Katrina, I actually text Jay and said, hey, I don't know if we're even going to have a team. I don't know what's going to happen if this thing dismantles and we can't have a team in the springtime. Just know I'd love to come play for you at Southeastern. So he had just got the job. So I finished up obviously playing there in '06. That was his first season there. '07 finished off my degree at Tulane. That was his second year there, and he had a whole staff turnover. He lost his entire staff after the '07 season, and so went in there in '08 as his volunteer, and I was the assistant there for 6 years. Was fortunate enough to be able to move my way up. Every time another opportunity continued to arise, I took the volunteer job there in '08, thinking I'd be there for a year.
Right,
And so every time an opportunity would arise, I'd get a bump up to the second assistant, the top assistant, pay raise, whatever it was. And then, funny part about it is I almost got hired by Todd Whitting as assistant at Houston. And literally the next year it happened. It went all down, and Jay took over as AD. I took over as our baseball coach and as the head coach. And me and Todd are coaching against each other in the first regional in 2014. So I looked at Todd like, hey, man, I guess either way, I was going to end up here in Baton Rouge, right? I'm glad I stayed and took this one to make a little bit more money than what I would have
Right.
for you. So, but no, it worked out really well. Again, just all God's plan. So, yeah, it's been 16 years total there at Southeastern, 6 as assistant, and then 10 as the head coach before we came up to Memphis.
Did you work like again geographically? Had you been to campus? Did you know much about the school prior to working there?
Not, you talking about here at Memphis?
No, Southeast Louisiana.
Southeastern? No,
Yeah.
actually, the funny part about it is I grew up, man, literally like an hour away and knew nothing about
Right.
Southeastern. Like,
Right.
I would drive past the Southeastern Louisiana University sign, exit 40, every time going to Baton Rouge. My family was rooted in LSU territory. My dad had graduated undergrad. All his brothers and sisters all graduated undergrad from LSU. So we'd go to football games all the time. We passed through Hammond and we wouldn't even think twice about
Right.
Southeastern.
Right.
So yeah, so we were fortunate enough, man. It felt like the work that we had put in at Southeastern with Jay and myself and Justin Hill and a few of those other assistants, man. That hey, man, we had got ourselves to a point to where people actually would recognize, hey, at least stop in and have a burger,
Right. Right.
and get some good food. So yeah, didn't know anything about it, to be honest with you, and also fell in love with the little town. We started calling it Hammond, America, right? We kind of coined that phrase while we were there. But it was Mayberries and Mayberries, just great people, and we thoroughly enjoyed, and just a good little college town that really fit who we were to start a family and get our first house, have our kids, the whole deal. Just a great little area to be able to do that.
And I remember this about the teams. This is again while you were an assistant, and then that first year as you were head coach. You're the first of all, the guys like to get hit by a pitch. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember the base running, the secondary leads. The base running was extremely good, and you could not run against your teams. The pickoff. Yep. Am I remembering that correctly? That team was nasty in terms of base running and defending the base running.
Yeah, 100%. It was we put a lot of time into it, right? It was the old Frank Beamer model. Like, hey, man, they were great at special teams in football at Virginia Tech. Why? Because they just put some time and emphasis on it. Nothing special, right? No crazy recipe for it besides just good hard work and put some time and detail to it. So, and still to this day, we've obviously started group work here the last couple of weeks that I tell our guys on the base running component. I always bring up Frank Beamer and the special teams they had at Virginia Tech and how they would win games. You're trying to win one-run games. Here's where we can gain advantage, finding these 90 feet and avoiding those other free 90s. And so, but one of the greatest compliments we ever got, I was coaching first base at Southeastern, and Paul Goldschmidt's the first baseman for Texas State. They were back in the league, back in the Southland. And he kind of leaned over and he goes, Coach, don't take offense to this. This is a compliment, but you guys are like robots. I said, what you mean? He goes, every one of you guys, doesn't matter. All you guys, you wear your pitch like you're supposed to. You run down here, you sprint down here, you run the bases like you're supposed to. Like it doesn't matter whether it's the 4-hole who's the biggest guy on the team or it's the little rabbit that's the top of the lineup who's the little guy. Like every one of you guys do the exact same thing. Like you can tell just in what he was basically commenting, hey man, we're bought in. We're bought into this is what we're going to do, and this is going to be our identity, and let's do it to the best of our abilities. And that was just a mindset, right? That was a choice. That was a decision we made. It didn't take a whole lot of talent to do that. It just took a decision that, hey man, let's be the best version of ourselves. So still this day, I say, hey man, one of the greatest compliments we've ever gotten with our base running is Paul Goldschmidt looked over me and said, hey man, these guys are robots.
Right.
So, yeah, I'll take that compliment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a future Hall of Famer. Why not?
Right, exactly. And I remember talking, and I think it was your pitching coach back then. I don't remember who it was, but I had always been, as a pitching guy, of the mindset of, as we're holding runners, let's use setup moves as righties. Let's set guys up. And what I remember about your pitchers back then is every move was absolutely nasty, the A move, and the throw was right to the knee. And I said, how come? What's the theory behind it? He goes, well, the point of defending the running game is to not have people run. Like the whole idea is to shut it down. Just discourage it. So if we're nasty, and I go, oh, that's genius. Let's do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
just discourage it. Yeah.
Just discourage it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then, what was the first year that you took over as head coach?
2014. So Jay takes over as our AD. I take over as head coach. At the time, I was 29 years old, or I was the youngest Division I head coach at the time when I took over. Probably didn't have a clue what I was doing, but like I would tell everybody, hey man, your first head coaching job is your first head coaching job, whether you're 29, 45, 55,
yeah, you're right.
You never really forget your first year. And I'll never forget the moment that was hey man, you're going to be able to do this and do it right. And so we were, I don't know, 8-8 at the time. It was like one of the worst starts we'd gotten off to in a few years. Obviously, I'm coming on the backside of Jay, and Jay's beloved in the community. They love him and what he's done, his interactions. And, everybody's kind of looking a little bit like, hey, who's this young guy? Who's the youngest? We're going to just turn a program over to a 29-year-old kid, right? So anyways, we're 8-8. We play a Friday night game against Lamar. We do the whole comeback, right? We hit the homer in the bottom of the ninth. And this is the game, like, we always win. That's just the last 3 or 4 years before that, we'd always
Right.
won and kind of built that mindset. And we lost in extras. And I remember texting Jay after the game. I was at dinner with my dad and said, hey, and I'm telling you, you hired the right guy. Like, I'm going to get this figured out. Don't worry about it. We'll be where we're supposed to be when it's all said and done. And then I also realized, hey, man, I was trying to appease a lot of people. I was trying to listen to a lot of people, right? I was building these relationships with just the fans and the donors and the people associated with, right? And being a head coach now, right? Having those conversations and just trying to listen to too many and prove myself to them. I'm like, hey, man, I'm already proving myself. I proved myself to myself. I know I can do this job. Block out the outside noise and let's go to work. Hey, man, does that circle, that locker room trust you? Yep, 100%. So if you already proved yourself to them, let's go rock and roll. Let's go do our thing. We did, and we had to end up finishing with a good year, and obviously made our run to regional. First time we'd been in regional in 20 years, and first time we'd won a regional game in 22 years or whatever it was. So first year, man, never forget that moment. Never forget that moment when I had to just go back to trusting myself and not trying to appease everybody else, right?
Um, Obviously, you then took that place, which was already a pretty good program, to
Yep.
pretty unbelievable level of play. I mean, 40
Yep.
win seasons, rankings, all that stuff. Is there anything special you did to do that? Was it an emphasis on recruiting, or just trying to do everything the right way? Was there anything that you could pinpoint that got the
Yep.
program to that level?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, gotten there as assistant. Obviously, I believe what Jay was doing to begin with, right when it started, because I played for him, and so I knew, and he knew, if we got the right people in there and believed in the place the way it was supposed to be believed in, we would get that thing going. So I told people, and I still tell people today, we recruit a certain intangible tool set, right? That there's tools and there's intangibles, and when we first started, I'll never forget, probably 2012 or 2013, 2012. Yep. That group of seniors kind of had over at the house and, made up some food, had some pizza, whatever for them. And said, hey, man, how many guys recruited you? None, coach. None. Not like we kind of went around the table. Like we were the only school that recruited them, right? And we're coming off a 41 season. And then 2014, kind of similar, right? Like got them out all over the house and we had a conversation and, hey man, how many guys recruited you? Coach, one school recruited me. Maybe this school recruited me. Like a bunch of nobodies, right, so to speak. But they embodied what we wanted, right? That mental toughness, that blue collar mentality, the hard nosed mentality, the overachiever, right? Chip on your shoulder type mentality. And the good thing about it is, as we got better, right, we became more lucrative to other recruits, but we did not want to get away from that MO of what made us, right, what we started with. And so we were fortunate enough to get a few more talented players, right, and the thing just kept building, but we kept always sticking to the MO of, hey man, how do we start this thing, right? How did this thing start to become what it became? It was based off this mentality and this makeup. So even though we get more talent, don't ever sacrifice what originally got us here. So I think that was the secret, right? To stay committed to that part of it. Still, even today, right? Rebuilding Memphis here, and the same MO. Hey man, we need that intangible tool set probably more now than ever, right? Because Maz, you know how it is. This world now, everybody throws 95 and hits the ball 500 feet and can run a 6.2 60. Like, hey man, these dudes they're animals, right? They're animals when it comes to physicality and physical tool sets. So what's going to separate you? What's going to make you different than the guy next to you? To still that intangible tool set that we need.
Yeah, there's two things I think about what you said there. One is, for a good player down in that area, and
Mm-hmm.
so, let's talk in Southeastern first. I mean, you got LSU, you got Louisiana Lafayette, you got Tulane. Like for a kid that's growing up, yeah, their top of their wish list, at least originally, was probably not Southeast Louisiana, right? Yes. So, like you said, a lot of the kids that are really still good players were probably not getting the attention. Second thing, probably more importantly, is how do you, in the recruiting piece, do you go above and beyond to define or find that characteristic of toughness? Like, because this is same thing I talked about Rob Vaughn. Kind of everyone knows a pretty good player, right? You got a guy with some physicality. You could tell a good arm. We're baseball people. You could tell someone who's got a nice swing, good bat, good delivery, good velocity. How that measuring the other part could be the hardest thing. How do you go about that?
Well, I think that is extremely hard and difficult to do. I think but you, again, trust your evaluation process of it. You have enough comps over the years and relationships over the years that you built that you took time to cultivate, right? And that, hey, yep, I saw this in that player X, and it turned into player Y, and this player has that same type of mentality, right? That makeup and that relationship component. And then again, just find the best fit. Like, I mean, just because we do it one way doesn't mean it's the only way, right?
Right,
I
of
mean, we
course.
know this. Everybody's got different ways to do this, and we tell the kids that now here at the table. I mean, for us to have success, here's one thing I can do. I can be as straightforward as I can with you as a straight shooter, right? It's just black or white. There is no gray area in this. Here's who we are. Here's what we have to offer. Here's the vision for us, where we want to go. And you better find the right fit, because if you're worried about the logo, back to your point a little bit of the area we're recruiting at Southeastern, right? Hey man, I'm giving you the same opportunity, the same dream you had maybe when you were 10 years old and you watched LSU play on TV, right, playing for national championship. What'd you envision? Well, you envisioned winning, right? You envisioned guys having fun playing the game. You envisioned being the best version of yourself from a player standpoint and from a human being standpoint. Well, we're going to give you all that same thing. We're going to take that logo out. I can't give you the LSU logo, but I'm going to insert this S for you, right? And the same thing up here now in the Mid South is like, hey man, we're surrounded by Tennessee and Arkansas, Ole Miss, Mississippi
Right,
State.
right.
South Carolina came in and got a guy a couple years ago. Like we're surrounded by them, and so I get it, man. Memphis might not be the original logo that you had. There are some here in town. We are a bigger city, so
Right, right.
but in the same sense is, hey man, we can still give you all those things that you dreamed of, right? Of winning, of having lifelong friendships, and then obviously finishing off a great degree from a good university, man. That can set you for a lifetime. When you think about all the places we have here with AutoZone and FedEx and International Paper, man, Memphians are Memphis, right? They're Memphis made, so it's kind of the same selling point for us, right? Is down there, here, whatever it is in recruiting pitches. Continue to sell the fit, man. Make sure we do enough
Yeah,
history and research on it to find the right fit, because just because they're good for us doesn't mean they'd be good somewhere else, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
vice versa. So don't. That's where we try not to put too much stock in the numbers and the tools and all that kind of stuff. It's a part of the story. Don't get me wrong, but it's not every chapter that's in there. So I think that's where our formula works well for us.
Yeah, it's something I used to do when I was recruiting, because you're talking to, say, a travel coach, right? And he's
Mm-hmm.
telling you about 3 or 4 of his pitchers, right? And he's giving you the basics, and he's giving you the velocities and the spin and all these different things. And I would just say, hey, they all sound awesome. I got a question for you. Biggest game of the year, who you giving the ball to?
Yeah.
That's the guy I want to call, right? And
Yeah.
that could be the lowest velo guy. Maybe that's the
Yep.
pitchability guy. Maybe that's the guy who throws any pitch, any count. It's like, who do you want at the plate? Who do you want to get the ball? Because we've all seen guys with skills that don't come through. We know baseball's got failure, but we want the guy who's going to get the job done.
Who do you trust?
Right,
Right.
right,
That's what
right.
it goes back to, and that takes time to cultivate that type of relationship. So, and any coach, I think, will not all coaches, but they want to do what's best for the kids, right, and try to get them to move on the next level, right? And so they may sell and be a little bit more ingrained in their own program, but like to your point, hey man, who you trust the most out of this? You got to pick one who you trust more than anybody else. Outside the tool set, run tool, whatever. Tell me the guy you trust the most. That's the guy I want. Hey, tell me the guy that everybody tends to follow, right?
Right.
Tell me the guy who shows up early, goes home late type of guy, right? Because I know for us, right, where we're at and where we're at Southeastern, the guy that's already polished and good and all that, like we're not getting that guy. So that's fine. That's okay. But I need a guy that can compete against him here in a year, and a
Right.
guy who does all those things, right? Hey man, he's probably going to be the guy who can compete against that guy in a year from now. So,
Right. Right.
yeah, to the same point. Same point.
All right. So tell me now about the move to Memphis. Tell me about taking over there. What's
Yeah,
been great about it? What any challenge? And I don't know much. Probably as much as I should
got to
about
get you to
the.
Memphis.
I got to come to Memphis for sure. Yeah, I got to come to Memphis. But how about the program itself? What should I
Yeah.
know from the outside about the program?
Yeah, funny thing about it, Matt, is we're in a situation where this was third time for me, and third time was a charm. I got a phone call in 2020 from my agent. Said, "Hey, man, this might be a possibility." And just said, "Hey, man, thanks, but no thanks. I got no interest." He's like, "Really?" It's probably going to double your pay, maybe triple your pay. It's American Conference, a step up from the Southland. No slight to them. I said, "But this, why wouldn't you want this job?" I said, "Well, I mean, to be honest with you, they're not invested in baseball. They're invested in basketball. They're invested in football. But I don't want to be a place where I'm invested in sacrificing my family and my time, my efforts that they're not going to invest in themselves. And so, thanks, but no thanks." He got a little pushy. We made a move. Whatever. I hired a new agent in 22. I got another phone call again about the situation. Rock had announced the retirement and said, "Hey, man, this might be a possibility. What's your thoughts?" I said, "Same thing. I told you the story of what happened in 2020 and why you're my new agent." And so he was like, "Yeah, hey, man, well, they're going to put $3.5 million in the facility." I said, "Well, that's impressive." I said, "But I still don't have any interest. I think we've got a really good club here at Southeastern, and I don't want to go on a hope or a promise that may or may not happen, right? I think we're in a good place." And so, Kerry got the job, and the good Lord's plan, man, you let things play out the way they play out. Third time, hey man, they put the $3.5 million like they said they would into the facility. Hey man, okay, now a real commitment to the baseball program, and somewhere I need to go sit down and have a conversation with Laird Beach, was our AD at the time. Sat down and had a real conversation, and just kind of simply asked him, hey, what's his I guess vision of the program, right?
Right.
I just asked him, say, man, in 5 years from now, where do you see the program if you hire me tomorrow? And so he was able to obviously communicate that, and I thought that vision matched my vision for the place. I've always thought that Memphis had a chance to be a sleeping giant if we could invest the right resources and people into it, and then get in here. And it's not an easy job by any means. It is a very difficult job. It's a job that has not been taken care of in a long time. Coach Rock put a ton of effort and time into this, but it was kind of on an island by himself doing it, unfortunately. And so, hey man, yeah, we got some people in place. Larry was in place that started to invest into it. Now we have Dr. Ed Scott that's here. That's our new AD. He's been here a little bit over a year now. He's a former baseball player, played at Albany. He's from the North, right, and played some pro ball as well. And so. And was actually the sports supervisor for Oak up at Virginia too. So like he
Nice.
literally flew out of Omaha to come interview for this job. So
Wow.
he knows what it looks like from an administrative standpoint, right? To get a program to that level and what that looks like. And so some of the communication we've had in the last 12 months, we've gotten some help and some investment, with the new NIL and rev share era. And
Nice.
if you can communicate a good detailed plan of it and why it looks like then hey man, he's willing to invest in it, right? He's not just going to give a guy on the corner some money because he's begging for money, right?
Right.
You show a guy with a good plan. Hey man, you get investors that know that, hey man, that return on investment's got a chance to double, triple, or quadruple. They'll invest in him. So Ed was able to do that. Very fortunate we've had him as our AD, and obviously the vision we're going to go with this place.
It's nice when an AD's got a baseball background. That's for sure.
100%, man.
Yeah.
100%. Well, and that was all those years there at Southeastern, right? There's many opportunities that arose over the years. Also mentioned Memphis being one of them, but there's several other opportunities that arose over the years, and I was in a good position. And,
Right.
man,
Right.
and a lot of the competitor in me, I didn't want to just hand it off to somebody else to take them, to the next step, right? We've been knocking on that door, and people are like, "Hey man, what do you got to do to get in Super Regional? Go to Omaha at Southeastern." I said, "You just got to keep knocking on the door. You knock
Right.
on the door enough, you eventually kick it in, right?" So I'll never forget playing back in those early days. You're talking about when we played y'all in '09. We played Stony Brook one of those years, '08 or '09, and we had beat LSU in a midweek, and then Stony Brook comes to town. They beat us 2 out of 3. And everybody's like, "Man, y'all beat LSU and lost it. Who's Stony Brook?"
Right.
Well,
Right.
LSU
Right.
found out in 2012
Yes,
who
they
Stony
did.
Brook was.
Yes, they did. Yes, they.
So to my point of, hey man, like get in there, invest in it. We had a good place. We had good people in place at Southeastern. Obviously now we've got good people in place here at Memphis, and can build this thing into the monster we want it to be too.
Yeah. What's kind of interesting, it's funny, is when you're talking about the interview process, it's like a little bit more of you interviewing them to make sure
Yeah.
they're going in the right direction.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
well,
is
because it's all
smart.
about the same thing we're selling recruits on, right? Hey, man, it's all about the right fit. I don't want to put myself in a position or my family in a position that we can't be successful. Look, I'm good at what I do. I have that confidence in myself, but also am humble enough to know, hey, man, I can't do this by myself.
Right.
I've got to have the right people around me and right people invested in this too. So that obviously starts with our locker room, our players, our staff, right? Who we have, our extended staff, and then our administration. Is our last layer of that. So I'm not gonna put myself in a bad position.
Right.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
get my biomedical engineering degree again and coach baseball.
All right, two more things I just want to hit on.
Yeah,
Kind of ask everybody, but what's the portal look like at Memphis? What's the amount that it factors into the yearly plans and recruiting?
yeah.
Is it kind of the same as everyone else, or how do you go about managing that piece with both bringing guys in and guys that are going?
Yeah, there's a couple layers of this. I think I start with this. What's our recruiting model look like, right? For me, I like sweets, so I'll describe it this way. Chocolate Sundae is our recruiting model. In other words, ice cream, we want the high school kids. All those years we were so good at Southeastern, man. We had really good high school players that continued the consistency, right? Not just a flash in the pan, not just one good year that gave us a decade of so much success, right? And it maybe come in and impact, be a freshman All-American, or maybe just impact it a little bit, right? But sophomore year, junior year, senior year, if they hadn't been drafted, I mean, you're talking about 3 really good years of those guys, and they knew what the culture looked like, they knew how we were going to do things, so it helped the new guys get on the same page as quickly as possible. So
Right.
that'll be our ice cream, right? It's those high school guys. Is it the 10 to 12 guys like it used to be back in the day when it was the Southeastern? No, it's the 5, 6, 7 guys, but you still need a real good core of high school guys that you can build around. The second layer of that is obviously the chocolate syrup, right? The JC guys. I'm a JC guy. I played
Right.
there, played in the Mac Jack, and obviously there's something to be said about those guys. They have a certain appreciation. They don't come in and say, "Hey,
It's a
coach,
great point.
where's my training table, coach? Where's my athletic trainer? Hey, I was supposed to have this special
Great point.
therapist at this time, right?" Like we have plenty of resources at the University of Memphis, and that's great. That's fantastic. But when you get guys that are coming from nothing, right, so to speak, from a resource standpoint, they get here, they have a real appreciation for it. So it helps kind of cultivate that a little bit for you, right, with
Totally.
the freshmen. And then also the last piece of the Sunday is the cherry on top, right? So that's the portal piece. And so I tell people all the time, I say, hey man, if we got a bowl full of cherries, it's not a very good chocolate Sunday. You just got a bowl
It's
full of
good. I
cherries,
love it. Good
and
analogy. Yeah.
yeah, and I love cherries. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes there's a little bit more, and a little bit less of things, right? A little less ice cream, a couple more cherries, a little more chocolate syrup, whatever it may be. But essentially, that's how we're gonna take the recruiting aspect of it for us. So the portal for us, I mean, again, when you go in there, you got to get some provenness. I think that's the part. I mean, that guy's gonna make an impact pretty immediate. Like you're not going to sell a developing piece or try to sign a developing piece in the portal, right?
Right.
It's gonna
Right.
be a now. You try to do your best to make sure that you have everything in place, and that's kind of the last Christmas gift that you need. We literally got our shortstop, Javon Hernandez. I mean, it was on July 15th. He found out he had eligibility again. Didn't even know like he had eligibility. He was already packed up with a girlfriend, the fiance, and then moving down to Fort Lauderdale and had a job lined up. Really smart kid. Got his MBA done in 2 semesters. And I call him on July 15th. Go, hey bud, you might have a year left. Will you want to play? He's
Wow.
like, Coach, man, I only get one shot at baseball. Yeah, I'd love to play. So we committed him on July 21st, and he's got a chance to be our starting shortstop or second baseman and leadoff guy. So it's a crazy time. The parameters continue to change, right?
Totally. Totally.
It's a revolving door. Like last December, all these kids get the JUCO year back, but they're only the ones that are seniors. Now
Right.
we're hearing, hey man, is this going to be a 5-year deal? Or like, yeah, whether you go JC, you go 4-year, doesn't matter. You just get 5 years. You're redshirt, don't care. You're a 1-2 year out. You got me there. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Yes. Yep.
But then try to figure out what those last pieces may be for us, and so we're fortunate enough that again when we get into the rev sharing component of this, I think that's where a lot of people, everybody's bucket's a little bit different, right? It's not the old school of 11.7, and
Right.
hey, well this is 33% and this is 75%, but being able to compare those numbers inside the program, and so for us, the biggest part we wanted the revenue share was to be able to keep the guys here, right? Invest in the guys here.
It makes sense. Yeah.
I want to make sure that these guys aren't getting in the portal. They know that they can go get, and I can't ask them, hey man, sorry, turn down a 6-figure contract to go to SEC, and I can't give you anything,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
The loyalty pillar is still a part of our program, right? And so we do all this work and build all this trust and build some loyalty to each other and to the program. Hey man, that I can get. Look, I can't give you what they can give you, but know that money's not everything in this, right? Let's look not this short-sighted. Let's look big picture here. Let's look how we can continue to help you develop and get to play professional baseball, but not only play pro baseball, but maybe your best chance at the big leagues, right? That's what we want to do ultimately, is play in the big leagues. That's the highest level of baseball. Let us help cultivate that for you and give you the best opportunity. And then for me to be a realist and go, hey man, at some point in time that I don't think I can give you that best opportunity, we need to sit down and have that conversation too, right? And so I think the portal has some really good pieces to it, as far as some guys that have different situations that come up. I do also think it's created a lot of mess too, right? That it's allowing kids to run from challenges and
That's a good point. Yeah.
and just some things, right? And everybody, we do our best as a society to fight against the victim card. Hey man, don't play the victim, right? Hey, well, coach, I didn't get this opportunity. I didn't get this opportunity. You never did this for me. Hey, I tell them from day one, hey man, I am here to work my behind off to make this program get as far as it possibly can, but your career as far as it possibly can too. At any point in time, right, that you feel like I'm not doing that for you, you have the right to just walk in my office, sit down with me, and have that conversation, and then we can have a real man-to-man conversation. And I'll be real with it. So, you know what? I do. I need to invest more time into your defense. I need to invest more time into your offense. I need to invest more time into the relationship building component. I haven't had a conversation with you in a few days. Like, hey man, so if you feel like you're lonely on an island, that's on me, right? So, and I think all of that in turn obviously helps keep you from that when you get to the portal part of it. That, hey man, circumstances change for everybody sometimes,
Right.
and so, but you can be real with it, and again, just explain to them, hey man, praise the Lord. Pray to God that I can be Wayne Graham one day and 85 years old and still on a mound, right? And giving a guy a good love chewing, right? Say, man, I need you to get us out of this. But I'm gonna have my coaching career, right? My playing career is done. I had my moment, my shining star moment at Omaha. I'm vouching every day and working my tail off every day with our staff to let our players have that same opportunity. They only get one career, man, and they got a timestamp on it. And so, I tell them, hey man, let us not waste time, do everything we can with your one career to make sure that when it's all said and done, because it will come to an end again, whether it's at 39, 29, 19, whatever it is, that you have no regrets and that you're proud of the career that you had, and that you can move on with life and into your next phase of life.
No, that's beautifully said. I love it. Which kind of brings me to the last thing here, which I think you've covered all along. But do you have any like advice that you would wish your younger self knew, or if you could speak to high school sophomores, juniors? Is there anything in particular you wish that they would know for them to be able to get to their highest level when it comes to college baseball, whether it's weight room or grit, or is there anything you could put your finger on that maybe even you wish you knew back then?
Yeah, I think for me personally, as a player back then, I think I got out of what I could, right? And so I was at peace with my career being over and was said and done. So I don't think there's anything besides just, hey man, you did a good job of maximizing what I had.
Yeah.
My piece of advice now, which is different now than what it was when I played 25 years ago, is literally the physical aspect of it. Like I don't think there's a realization of how physical the college game has gotten, right? And as science has continued to evolve, as we've done more research, the amount of time and effort put into the data part of it, right? Not only for just on the field, we see with TrackMan and CSV files and all that kind of stuff, right? And reduced verticals, yeah, that's data, that's grown. But man, when you look at these teams that are in Omaha and you look at college baseball programs around the country of how physical they are, and when I say
Totally.
physical, I'm not saying they all got to be 6'7". Like, I mean, for me, Dustin Pedroia was a physical player, because that
Sure.
man could hit a ball a long ways. Like, he was really strong from elbow to wrist, right? Like, and he made sure of it and knew that was his game. And so I think that the kids really need to understand that aspect of it, in the same sense as don't get so locked in that you have to got to be with a special coach, right, or a specialization of a sport, right? We can still see, even to this day, I can point out there at 16 years old and go, I can tell that kid's been in a facility since day one, right? Now,
Right,
the
right,
facilities are bad, right? But
right,
that's
right.
what he's grown up and been in. He's been an academy kid since day one. Like, in other words, that's all he's done is chase numbers and trained he's never allowed the baseball aspect to come out, right? So there's a balance of both of that, to understand that, yes, we have got to have more physical players at this level. I tell kids all the time, man, in our recruiting process is, for us, I don't care whether you're freshman or senior, right? Whether you're 18 or 25 years old
Yeah.
or whatever it is now, right? But the two things you got to have maturity wise, you got to be physically mature to have success at this level, right? And you got to have mental maturity to be successful at this level now, and which was not the case not but 10 years ago. I mean, 10 years ago, you could have got away with a little bit. And not saying that there's not more room for growth, there is. But I think the fundamental aspect of the game, I think if you blend the baseball fundamental aspect, along with the physicality part of it, that's what you're looking at from a college aspect level. So it's great that you train and you're strong. It's great, fantastic. But if you don't know baseball, no thanks. Hey, man, if you're the little weakling over there that's not physical enough, not spending time in the weight room, it's a balance of both if you really want to play at a high level and play at this level for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so many great points in there. Like, so many guys are training for numbers off tees and the way that, and like they're practicing swinging but not really hitting. Like, if you watch a big league game, some guys have some ugly swings on some tough pitches, but the ball gets put in play and someone moves around the bases because they could put bat to ball. It's not just about exit velo and and there's guys that could throw. I mean, I get kind of nuts with this. This is my personal pet peeve.
Yeah.
I'll do a lot of stuff at an indoor facility, and kids are strong, and they throw plyos at an incredibly hard grade against the wall, and I see their velo, and then halfway through the college season, I'll look up their stats, and the dude's got a 12 ERA, and he's got 19 walks and 4 strikeouts. So I'm like, all that stuff is good. It's like Butch Thompson said this, who's one of the best baseball guys. He goes, it shouldn't be old school or new school. It should be in school. Like, everything matters, but something is being lacked. And to your physical point, I'm always amazed at when I watch the College World Series, the physicality of these guys. It's like watching a AA game, man. They're just big. They're just big boys, right? So there's good players. I'll work with players, and the kid goes, well, why do you think I'm D3? I go, because, dude, you're 5'11", 165. Like, that doesn't play. You got being 20 pounds of muscle is a big deal in this modern world. So
100%. Well, it's reading the whole book, right? Not just reading a chapter of the book.
Right.
I mean,
right.
hey, if you read the end, you can tell me the result, but tell me about the journey that got you to the result, right? Or if you read the beginning, that's great, fantastic, but you can't tell me where you're going to go, what you're going to do with it. So if you start trying to answer questions for reading a book and you only read a chapter or two of it, then you're going to be incomplete. And so that's, I guess, my same point of this is with the fundamentals and the physicality of it. Hey, man, it all fits, right? You can't just do one without the other. Yes, it has some value. Swing analytics, it's got some value in your bat speed, but it's not the only number to sit there and chase. Great, it's fantastic, but there's so much more to the swing besides the bat speed. You know what I mean?
Right. All right, listen, Matt, you did a heck of a job as my 5-hitter, my man. You
went on base.
You went 4. Oh, you went 4 from 4. You banged a couple extra base hits. That was, and listen, I do appreciate it. You're staying late on a work night. You got your kids at home and your wife, and you stayed around for this. I appreciate it. So
thank you for doing what you do for baseball, man. I don't know if people give you enough credit, but you're a baseball lifer, and that's what we appreciate, and that's what we enjoy. And so whether you're in the college game, right, and coaching on the other side in the dugout that you did for 30-something years, or obviously doing this, I've always told people the same thing. Hey, man, if the good Lord says, hey, man, your time's done in coaching, I'm going into the same thing you're doing here, where I just try to give advice to these kids, man. You coach for the same reason why I coach, is because you care about their careers and their experiences. And hey, man, the only thing you can do is educate yourself. To do a good job of not being emotional in all this recruiting and in this college baseball world that we're in. Don't be irrational. Get educated. Make good decisions. And then at the end, when it's all said and done, you'll be blessed that you did.
Yeah, and I'm starting to put something together. I think I'm going to have to make a tour around the country of all the coaches that I've interviewed, and I got to come to Memphis for some food, then I got to go to Tuscaloosa. I got a lot of places to go, man. As long as I can bring my dog.
3 hours down the road. Let me hit 3 hole and let Vaughn hit 4 all the time.
All right, Matt, you're the man. I appreciate it, buddy.
Right. Appreciate you, Wayne.
All right. Yep. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening to this episode of the Game Plan Podcast by College Baseball Advisors. Again, this is Wayne Mazzoni. I'm your host, former college baseball coach. For more information about what I do, please visit collegebaseballadvisor.com. I hope you enjoyed this really informative episode with Matt Reiser, head baseball coach at Memphis. We're excited to see you on our next episode. Again, I'd like to remind you that this podcast is sponsored by the Mohegan Sun Baseball Coaches Convention. It takes place every year in January. This year's dates are January 15th to 17th, 2026 at the Mohegan Sun Casino. Please visit that website. You will see an unbelievable lineup of speakers. And it's a great event because not only can you learn from these speakers, you can interact and talk with them after their sessions. There's demo spaces, a batting cage, and an infield. Great vendors, and not to mention other great coaches in the audience. And a lot of times you'll walk around and just see various conversations between 5 and 10 coaches just talking about bunt defense or first and thirds or recruiting or whatever the case is. So it's really a motivating, uplifting event to go to. So please check out their website at baseballcoachesclinic.com. Again, thank you for listening to this episode, and we look forward to seeing you on our next broadcast. Thank you.